Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. But in this video, I want to chat about the 5 subconscious money beliefs that you may have at the minute and how to overcome them. Now, as you can see, I've got a brand new microphone here. A few of you said in the comments that the audio was a bit funny, so I'm very conscious there's a massive microphone in front of me, but do let me know down below in the comments if you feel like the audio is pretty good with this. Let me know. So let's get straight into it. The very first one is maybe a belief that you have that I'll never be good with money. So maybe you grew up in a family that always had debt, seemingly, that always had bills piling up, and maybe as an adult you feel like, hey, that's like me too, that I'm never going to be good with money, I'm always going to be in debt, or I'm always going to feel like I'm a step behind. So what I would say to these people is a way to overcome this is not to lean on the negative of like you feel like you're falling behind in terms of financial knowledge, is to actually educate yourself on this. There are so many free resources out there, whether it's books or whether it's the YouTube channels like this, but also YouTubers like Nishka, who's also a UK-based personal finance channel. And of course, in this channel as well, I talk about personal finance and it's all for free. So if you feel like you're really lacking in, not understanding the pure basics of personal finance, do look back on free things like YouTube, but also in books. So books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's something that I listened to when I was in my early 20s and it really helped me change how I think about money. So I would recommend that one, even if people have heard weird things about the author in the news recently. But the actual basics of the personal finance that he teaches in that book are really valuable because he goes into the meaning of assets and liabilities and how we should try and build more assets for ourselves, which can make us money in the background rather than only spending on liabilities like things that do not make us money. Another way to overcome this belief of I'll never be good with money is of course educate yourself, but also to give yourself small wins. So if you're someone who really struggles with saving, for example, why don't you start small and build it up that way? So if you're someone who gets £3,000 every month into their bank account as a salary, okay, why don't you first start with saving £50, okay? And once you've done that month, you can tick it off. And then next month you can jump to £100 of saving and tick it off. And up to the point where we would recommend that usually it's 50-30-20 rule. So 20% of your monthly income should go towards your savings and investings. So in the 3,000 example, that would be £600. So can you get to that mark by slowly building it up and giving yourself small wins so you feel like you're achieving and able to get a grip of money? The second belief that I want to chat about is that money is always stressful. Do you feel like you fall into this category where you're constantly worrying about money, that there's always a conflict there where you feel like there's never enough? And maybe you've got, kids that you have to look after as well. Do you feel like there's just never enough money to cover all of the basics and things? So this can also start with our mind. Yes, your income may be low and there are ways to build up income by changing jobs or maybe getting, side income elsewhere in different gigs. But there's also a way to look at what you're spending your money on. So for example, if you don't have a budget, you of course are more likely to overspend on every category of your life because you haven't set a boundary there. So what I would say about people who feel like they're very stressed about and worried about money the whole time is to make a budget, okay? You'll be really surprised. I hear it time and time again of when you actually start to put this money down on paper and realize, okay, what have I spent in the last month on food alone? You'll be so surprised. It's always like double what people think they've actually spent. So write a clear budget for yourself. And again, refer back to your needs, your wants, and your savings, and try and break down and split up that £3,000 into, 50% should go towards your needs, 30% should go towards your wants, and 20% towards your savings. And if you feel like that's too much of a stretch, of course, there's some flexibility in that, and to, build yourself up with steps to get to that momentum, okay? It's all about small wins with this, but you have to set boundaries for yourself. Otherwise, you're more likely going to overspend in areas and of course feel guilty or worried about money afterwards. Another money belief that I want to chat about, which is number 3, is if I spend it, it will run out. Now, this can also be linked to the second point where you're genuinely worried about money and you may be actually hoarding money. So not overspending, but keeping money very close to your chest, maybe hiding money under your mattress, maybe not telling your partner about some income that you have because you're just worried it's going to get spent. And then you're going to be left with no money, when you're older. So this is of course starting with your mindset, and you have a fear-based mindset there. So what I would say to those people is, of course, make a budget for yourself, but also give yourself some joy. If you love sitting in a cafe and drinking coffee and maybe reading a book, you should budget that into your experiences every month. For example, if you're on £3,000 of a salary every month, it's okay to spend £50 every month sitting in a cafe, drinking a cappuccino, reading a nice book. If that's what gives you joy, and if you feel like it's a worthy use of money, you're of course spending money, but you're also learning that it's okay to spend money and enjoy the simple things in life. You can't just scrimp on everything and not spend money on the things that bring you joy. So for this type of person, I would really understand and recommend for them what brings them joy in the first place. Is it reading a book? Is it meeting with friends? Is it going to the cinema? What is something that they could learn to spend money on that actually gives them joy? Now, if you are, of course, overspending, it's a different sort of recommendation. But for people who are hoarding money and not living their life and just being scared and being stuck inside on TV, on their bum here on the sofa, not doing anything with their life, they really have to evaluate, that life is not forever, okay? We're all going to die at some stage, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we're not on this world forever, Find the thing that you love and set yourself a percentage of your monthly income to do that thing. Whether it's educating yourself, whether it's getting into yoga, whether it's just hanging out with friends and going for a meal. You have to live your life, but also you have to be responsible with money. Money is a tool to enjoy the life that you have. So whether it's investing for your future self, or whether it's getting that cappuccino every month with your best friend and chatting about the latest gossip, okay? It is about a balance, but I think where people go wrong is they overspend and indulge and have that YOLO attitude with money and feel like they can just spend and it's never going to run out. Okay, that's the other end of the spectrum. But use your money as a tool, and that way you can, of course, enjoy your life and save for the future. The fourth money belief that I want to talk about is people who believe that their money is linked to time, aka they need to work more hours in order to get more money. Now, I understand why a lot of people think this because, the usual 9 to 5 route, we all have to clock in, clock out, and then get paid a certain amount. Or if you're on minimum wage, the more hours you work is equated to the amount of money you receive. But this belief can actually be very hindering to your money mindset. Money is not only linked to time. There is, of course, ways that you can grow wealth in the background passively, such as investing, where you invest a certain amount of money every month, and it grows over time if you leave it in there for a long period of time. Something like the S&P 500, which is an index that tracks the top 500 companies in America. If you put in £200 every month and leave it in there for 20 years, this is how much money you will have because it would have compounded over time. So if you let money work for you rather than you having to work for money, it will totally change how you feel about money and how you think about it. So try and think of other ways where you can grow money without having to exchange it only for your time. Things like YouTube channels like this. When you look at really successful YouTube channels, not me yet, I'm still very small, but when you see how much energy they had to put into it, yes, you do have to sit down, set up the studio, record, make a script, put energy into it. But over the long term, people can make millions on this platform. And usually, when they're a few years in, they make money when they're sleeping because the old videos will have done really well and they're making AdSense off of those videos. So if you're, happy to put the energy in now, for example, with a YouTube channel, with like maybe a little side hustle for yourself, yourself what you truly love and what you truly can give passion towards. Or if you get into investing or maybe the property game, they're not all passive income though. You do have to remember that. I think investing into an index fund is the only true passive way. Whereas even if you have, a property to rent out, it's still not truly passive because you might get tenants that are an absolute nightmare, or you may have a leak in the building and you have to go sort it out. So it will of course still take time, even if it's, giving you money in the background. So what are ways you can bring in multiple income streams for yourself? If you guys have any other examples, drop them down below and we can share them all together. So the fifth money belief I want to chat about is that money isn't important to me. So these type of people may never have any financial goals for themselves. They may never believe that they can achieve any goals. So they just downplay it all and say, hey, money isn't important to me, man. I don't care about money. I'm just going to spend and not think about it and bury my head in the sand and not look at my banking account, okay? What I would say to these type of people is everyone needs financial goals in their life. No matter what part you live in the world, whether you live in a tiny home in America or whether you're in a very flashy apartment in London that I can see in the distance over here, okay? Everyone needs money and everyone should have financial goals for themselves. So whether you want to have your own home one day, that is a financial goal that you would set for yourself. And you need to understand how you can work backwards to achieve that goal. So you need to recognize that money is valuable and it can be used as a tool to achieve the life that you want for yourself. If you want to move abroad, you will need money to move to New York from London, okay? Whether it's, lawyer fees, visa fees, flight costs, whatever. You will need to have a bucket of money there that you would have saved as a financial goal for yourself to achieve that thing. So really understand, what are the main goals that you truly have in life? Do you want to stay where you are in the town that you're in? That's perfectly fine. But do you want to have kids in the future? Do you want to have a bigger house one day? Or do you want to have a smaller property, but maybe have a lot of land and horses? What kind of dream do you have for yourself? And then from there, you can work backwards as to understand how much money I would need to actually achieve that goal. And then break it into bite-sized pieces and then save that amount every month until you're able to achieve that goal. Because if you don't break things down, they'll only be a dream in your head and then you can never actually achieve them. So try and have a think yourself about what your financial goals are for this year and jot them down. And once you get to tick them off, you'll feel so much happier. It's okay to recognize money as a resource and something that's valuable to achieve the things and the aspirations that you want. So what are the other subconscious money beliefs that you guys have that you feel are holding you back? So whether it's been put upon you by family or friends, or whether it's the small town that you grew up in, or potentially you grew up in a big city and you feel like everyone else is rich around you, but you don't know how to get to that next step, so you never even try. Please share down below what you feel like the main things are holding you guys back. And I, of course, will do future videos on those topics. I tend to post 2 videos a week, guys, on personal finance and how to be better with money. So if you feel like this is useful, I'd love a subscribe. That would really help the channel out. I'm still pretty new and gaining followers very slowly. But if you want to be better with your money in the new year, hopefully this channel can help you guys, but no pressure. Okay, cool. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.